You know, roller coasters and attractions come and go. They're built, stay around for a while, some longer than others, and eventually have to meet their final demise with a closure. And usually when attractions close, there is always some sort of reason for its closure. Maybe the ride just wasn't as popular as it used to be back in the day, or maybe the manufacturer of that attraction went out of business and you just can't find parts for it anymore. Or you're a theme park corporation in the year 2024 and you close your rides at pretty much random. And if you don't know about this yet, there's quite a few notable roller coasters that have already closed this year. And with it being such a hot topic in the roller coaster enthusiast world, the only thing I can think about is how can I profit off of this? Let's make a ranking YouTube video. Alright, so this is how it's going to work. I'm going to be ranking these 2024 defunct roller coasters from how much I'm going to least miss them to how much I'm going to most miss them. So we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up to the top. And if that makes sense, then the only logical thing to do is to subscribe. The roller coaster taking the number 6 spot is Wild Train at some sort of amusement park. I don't even know the name of this park. I don't even know where this is. It's a really weird looking family thrill coaster known for one thing only, and it's for its extreme ejector airtime. And according to people that have gone out and actually rode this attraction, it is some of the strongest airtime that you can actually find on any roller coaster in the world. And I would believe it. Just look how it does this. Look at the way this thing is profiled. Like, how does this thing even exist? And that is a question that no longer needs to be said because it doesn't exist anymore. It's closed. Okay, anyways, I'm actually interested in actually finding out where this roller coaster is located, so come with me. Let's go to RCDB. Let's find this out. Alright, just pulled up RCDB. Wild Train. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Train. Oh, I don't know what park. Oh, it's this. I think it's this one. Yes, okay. Oh. Wild Train at this place called Fantasia. I don't know how to say that. In Australia. That is pretty awesome. Can we? That is not Austria. Oh, okay. That makes sense now. Unfortunately, something's going to have to take 7th place, and for this case, it's going to be Wild Train taking that 7th spot. I don't really have an emotional attachment to this ride. I honestly didn't really know this ride existed until halfway through this year, so for that case, it's just going to have to take the number 7 spot as we move on to number 6. The roller coaster taking the 6th spot on our list is Space Mountain at Tokyo Disneyland. One of the most popular roller coasters found across the world. It's been copied and pasted around different Disney parks across the world many times, including the one we're talking about right now, which is Tokyo. Opening all the way back up in 1983, it was one of those original Space Mountains to open, and unfortunately, it's the first one that kicked the bucket. Disney announced last year that the Tokyo version of Space Mountain would be closing to make way for an all-new version of Space Mountain. Every single attraction has a timeline on how long it will last, and especially with Space Mountain here at Tokyo, it is open year-round 365 days a year. Meaning the wear and tear on the attraction is going to happen a lot faster than, let's say, a ride at Cedar Point, which is open for less than half the year. Now, there's a couple of reasons why this ride is going into the number 6 category. Reason number 1 is that this ride is located really far away from me, far away from the United States of America, where I'm from, and most likely where you are as well, unless you're the 0.3% of people watching this from Sweden. Hey, I love you, Sweden. And reason number 2 is that there is other Space Mountains located around the world, especially 2 in the United States. And the one located at Disneyland is very similar to the one in Tokyo, so personally, I'm not missing out on too much. If you're from Tokyo, you are then, but I'm chilling over here. Number 6 spot, you go Space Mountain. Behold the one and only DOTA Dampa, the world's fastest accelerating roller coaster, the roller coaster known for breaking bones. Opening in the year 2001, this ride uses compressed air to launch a train to 0 to 112 miles an hour in 1.6 seconds. And most likely to anyone that's ever experienced this attraction, the fastest accelerating thing they've ever felt. Behold Hypersonic XLC, the prototype model of the air-compressed launch roller coaster. Opening earlier in the same year of 2001, Hypersonic XLC is just a smaller version of DOTA Dampa. Despite it being a very short ride with just a launch, a top hat, a turn, and a bunny hop into the brakes, people still love this attraction. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of that top hat element after the launch. After being launched around 88 miles per hour, you shot up to that top hat looking 90 degrees straight into the sky, and then coming straight back down into the rest of the layout. And I bring this up because DOTA Dampa had a top hat. Key word there, had a top hat. It wasn't at the start of the ride for DOTA Dampa, but more towards the end, where the train had a little less speed, but still a bunch, where it would go over that top hat, look straight 90 degrees into the air, and go 90 degrees down. Eventually, that top hat got removed. I'm not sure why exactly. I'm pretty sure it's just because why not, and they just did it anyway, and in replacement, they put a giant vertical loop there, which I think is pretty cool.
And it makes our big coaster another great coaster, Mystic Timbers. This is GCI's finest American coaster.
But unfortunately, ultimately, this roller coaster is on this list because it's gone. The ride actually stopped operating all the way back in 2021, but it's been confirmed now this year that the ride has closed for good and is being demolished. And unfortunately, during the final few months of operation for this attraction, the word kind of got out there that the ride was kind of breaking bones, and that's kind of why it closed. But I'm not sure why this wasn't happening or reported throughout the entire history of the ride's life, because it's been operated for like almost 20 years. But all these reports of like broken bones and stuff from the launch came like in the last year of its operation. So I'm not sure, maybe there was reports and they got hidden, but supposedly, or actually pretty much knownly, that is why the ride closed. But personally, if you ask me why the ride actually closed, I'm gonna say it's because of what Theme Park Review said it did to your body. Let's take a listen.
Oh, it's bouncy! My titties are jiggling! Oh! Holy shit! Airtime!
Next on our list is La Vibora. I believe is the third ever roller coaster created by Intamin Amusement Rides and is here at Six Flags Over Texas for people to not enjoy anymore because it's gone. La Vibora is a bobsled type roller coaster, so when you think of the word roller coaster, just really think about the word roller in roller coaster, and that's basically what this ride does. It just rolls around in that trough following the path. Now, some people would argue and say that this isn't an actual roller coaster because it doesn't have that roller coaster track to it, but I mean, anything can really be track, and if this water slide looking roller coaster can be track, then I mean a water slide can be a roller coaster, I guess. So count your credits. But no, this is a roller coaster, and if anyone's gonna argue, here is your track for evidence. The ride's layout consisted of swoops and turns broken up by mid-course brake runs sprinkled around the attraction to have multiple trains on the quote track. La Vibora didn't actually start its life over at Texas. It actually started in California at Six Flags Magic Mountain for a year. This ride was actually part of the Six Flags ride rotation program, where back in the 80s, Six Flags had a couple of rides where they would build it, leave it at a park for a few years, and then tear it down and ship it to another Six Flags park, rotating it around to different parks. However, the ride rotation program didn't really last too long, ending in the same decade. Wherever the ride was last at, it stayed at that park. And for La Vibora, it was Six Flags Over Texas, where it had its forever home and a happily ever after ending. Until it died. Without any warning, the ride just straight up closed forever. Even though this ride was historic and only of its kind still remaining, it was the right thing to do, I believe. You know, this ride couldn't operate in any sort of rain. It was old, it was low capacity, and it did hurt a lot to actually ride. However, the way the ride did go out was absolutely not the right way at all. No announcement, no official last day for people to go out and ride it. However, for what we do understand is that Cedar Fair kind of made them close these attractions with like no announcement at all. They weren't allowed to. But at least we're getting a record-breaking dive coaster in 2026 to make up for it, so that'd be cool. Next one, let's do it.
Shutting them down in every town in the U.S.
Taking our number 3rd spot on the list is Scorpion at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. Opening 44 years ago, it was a Schwarzkopf looping coaster with a relatively simple layout. After the lift hill, the ride consisted of a single vertical loop followed by a couple of bank turns that led you right into a triple downwards helix finale that sent you back into the station and brake run. It was the park's oldest operating roller coaster, which opened all the way back in 1980 and closing this year in 2024. The ride definitely stood the test of time, but eventually things have to go. But I was kind of surprised that they closed Scorpion 1 year after closing Sand Serpent, which is a roller coaster directly across the way from Scorpion. Closing 2 different roller coasters in 2 years right next to each other is definitely an interesting choice, but Busch Gardens definitely knows what they're doing. Last year they closed the Wild Mouse Sand Serpent, but had a quick turnover time with building Phoenix Rising and opening it this year. I don't think they're going to add something to the Scorpion plotted land as quick as they did with Sand Serpent, but it's Busch Gardens and SeaWorld parks. They do some crazy things, so expect a new roller coaster, I'm going to predict in 2026. Now you might be questioning why I have Green Lantern placed 2nd on this list of coasters I'm going to miss, and that is because, you know, I'm a big suck up for stand-ups. I even bought the Nano. I like old gen B&M stand-ups. I think I even like them more than Pipeline at SeaWorld. Fight me. If you couldn't put it together by now, Green Lantern is a B&M stand-up roller coaster from the 90s. And when people hear stand-up roller coaster from the 90s, people tend to run away. Except me, and I'm weird, and I like these rides. Even though this is considered probably the worst stand-up from all of the B&Ms, this one is still pretty alright, at least for me. This ride actually takes like a huge plot of land up, and it has a huge footprint too, and with its removal, it's going to free up a lot of land for Great Adventure to use in the future. Although it still does make me a little sad because I did enjoy this one. The ride's layout consisted of a huge jumbled mess of inversions, turns, and it was a little uncomfortable for people in that stand-up position, especially for you dudes out there. But at the end of the day, one of the main contributing factors for keeping a ride alive is, did people enjoy their ride? And for a lot of people on Green Lantern, they didn't. Combined with the ride's age and Cedar Fair's input, it was just time for Green Lantern to leave. I'm gonna miss this ride. On to the next roller coaster. What's that? Oh, we don't have to leave parks? What do you mean? Oh, that's right. All we have to do is walk a couple hundred feet over next door for King Dakar. King Dakar, one of the most famous roller coasters in the world, is now gone forever. Holding the record for the world's tallest and fastest roller coaster, King Dakar was an icon for the ages. And unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. And that couldn't be further from the truth with King Dakar. Using a hydraulic launch system to launch a train up to 128 miles per hour in less than 5 seconds was an absolute unreal feeling. Being pinned to the back of your seat and just gaining so much speed so fast was just quite simply amazing. It's also just really hard to believe that the world's tallest roller coaster is gone. If you go to Great Adventure next year, it's just gonna feel so different with Green Lantern and King Dakar missing. Those rides neighbor each other, and without those two, like with the skyline, it's gonna feel so weird. I can't wait to see like videos and vlogs of people going next year just to see it missing, if they even tear it down in time. You know, it's Six Flags. It might take them a couple years to just do it. Although it is sad to see it go, there is reasons for its closure, and a big one here being operating costs too high. It's just too expensive to operate the attraction per guest anymore. As soon as the park closed for the night, maintenance personnel were on the attraction tinkering and fixing it for full operating order for the next day. The ride demanded 24/7 constant maintenance on the attraction to keep it running in functional order. And eventually, after 19 years of operation, it's just too expensive to keep the ride going, which is just really sad to think about because we're losing King Dakar. It is so cool. The ride's so cool. But anyways, losing the world's tallest roller coaster is a definite hit to the heart, and that's why it's going in the #1 spot on my list. But other than that, those are, I believe, the most notable roller coasters that have closed this year. I may have missed one or two. I don't know all of them exactly, but those are the most notable ones, the most taken away ones from this year's closures. Other than that, thank you for watching and enjoying and staying to the end, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.